Very recently, I made a video talking about Marvel Studios' X-Men reboot, which we know is coming to the MCU either in between Doomsday and Secret Wars or right after Secret Wars. We don't know for sure yet, but they're going to be starting filming, I believe, next year, and we are indeed getting a brand new X-Men in the MCU. And the video I made the other day was talking about how there's rumors that the lineup we don't know all the members, but it will at least include Kitty Pryde and Gambit, which Gambit especially makes sense because 2024 has just been an absolute boost for this character. The love that fans had for him in X-Men 97, just such a beautiful representation of the character there. And then, of course, recently with Channing Tatum appearing as the character in Marvel Studios' Deadpool and Wolverine. And just the memes that are going around on the internet from this film are insane and so hilarious. And so with this Channing Tatum as Gambit, it brings up an interesting question of, okay, they brought him back and everybody loved him, but is that it? Is that, we finally got to see Channing Tatum as Gambit, which is great, but will we ever see him again? Is he going to pop up in Secret Wars? Because, as far as we're aware, he survived the movie. We don't know for a fact, but we're assuming he did. And then it also brings us to the question of, is it possible to still get that Channing Tatum Gambit movie? Because, of course, that's where this started years and years ago. It was San Diego Comic-Con, 2016 or 2017 or something like that, where they brought out on stage, it was the full Fox X-Men cast, and Hugh Jackman, and James McAvoy, and Michael Fassbender, and Ryan Reynolds was there, and everybody was there, and they announced Channing Tatum as Gambit. This movie was happening, because that's the thing, this movie was in development for years and years. They just never ended up getting a director, and then once they were pretty much just about ready to get going on making the film, then Disney bought Fox, and it all just went downhill from there. So now, seeing Channing Tatum as Gambit in Deadpool and Wolverine, and everybody loving his appearance and his character, is it possible we could now revisit the idea of getting a Gambit solo movie with Channing Tatum? I think so. But there's a lot of different ways they could go about doing this, and there's one specific way that I think that could make this work. Other ways, they could work, but I don't think would be as properly executed. Channing Tatum himself also, by the way, just absolutely still wants to do this, because it's not like Jennifer Garner or Wesley Snipes where they're like, oh yeah, it was cool to revisit the character in Deadpool and Wolverine, blah, blah, blah. Channing Tatum, obviously, he's been saying that stuff, but he's also been saying, I'd still like to do that movie. I would, as you can see here, when he was on, Jimmy Fallon, he was like, I would kill kittens to make that Gambit movie, which little dark, but that shows how much he cares about this project and this character. He has loved this character for years and years. He spent the better part of 20 years trying to get to play this character. As a little kid, playing with a deck of cards, just wanting to be Gambit. Growing up in the New Orleans area, he loves Gambit and he wants to be Gambit. And it was great seeing him in Deadpool and Wolverine, but there is possibility for more. So how could a Gambit movie work from Marvel Studios? Well, like I said, there's many ways of going about doing this. And Channing Tatum, his Gambit in Deadpool and Wolverine was definitely played up a little bit more for comedic effect. The accent was a little more over the top. Some of his line work and everything was more comedic because it was a Deadpool movie. So it would definitely have to be a different version of the character, but obviously still played by Channing Tatum. Because he really was perfect in the role. Now, the one thing with this, though, is that some people have been saying, oh, yes, make Channing Tatum the MCU Gambit. No. I wouldn't hate it. I wouldn't be against that. But I think for the MCU, they want to go for a younger X-Men team. And yes, I want to see Gambit on the X-Men. But I think Channing Tatum is just too old for that. especially when it comes to longevity. We know in the MCU they cast younger actors so that they can last for 10 to 12 years in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So I doubt that's going to happen again because I want to see Gambit in the MCU X-Men, but I want that to be separate from Channing Tatum Gambit because I want a younger Gambit that again can have that longevity, do that romance, that love story with Rogue. That is what I want from MCU Gambit. But Channing Tatum Gambit, I think this needs to be a one-off, just solo Gambit movie with Channing Tatum. Because one of the things that I think they need to really do with the Multiverse Saga, and this is where it kind of leans more into the fact that like this most likely won't happen, but ideally, in a world that's not very realistic, it would be awesome if we could get a Channing Tatum Gambit movie, but it would have to come out before Secret Wars and possibly before Avengers Doomsday as well, because really one of the biggest things missing from the Multiverse Saga that I think really would have been great to see is we need to care about these other universes. I mean, yes, we have so many characters, so many projects coming from our main universe, but one of the strengths that I think is a great genius idea with what they're doing with Fantastic Four, setting that in an alternate universe, which is in a 60s retro futuristic style, I think that's a great idea because then that establishes another universe set within the multiverse. And, we're going to have a bunch of incursions going on here. That's like the big thing with Secret Wars. And if all of these universes are going to be dying, you need to have some sort of attachment to those universes. You need to have an actual care. And so I think that's something that's great with Fantastic Four. And that's something that is obviously going to be inherent with our legacy characters, like bringing back Hugh Jackman's Wolverine and Deadpool and maybe the other Spider-Man and Ghost Rider, and like all those different characters. But that will be another way to latch onto another universe, whether that was, Channing Tatum's Gambit being in the Fox universe or his own separate little universe. I don't know what it would be, but it would give you attachment to another universe and another character. In a very similar way to how after No Way Home, fans have been begging for a Tobey Maguire Spider-Man 4 or even more so an Andrew Garfield Amazing Spider-Man 3, hashtag make TASM 3, which I still really, really want, which in some regards, the argument is like, why would you go back and make a sequel to all these years later that is not connected to the MCU, that is taking place in a separate universe? But we're dealing with the Multiverse Saga, baby. Like, it's a great way to, again, reestablish those universes and add more prominence to them so that you have more of a care. I think is the same argument of why would you go back and do this Fox Gambit movie with Channing Tatum is the same argument of hashtag make TASM 3 to finish that story, to bring that story to life. And again, it's an easy tie into the Multiverse Saga. And also, hypothetically, if we do at some point in Secret Wars, like an Avengers versus X-Men type thing, that would be really cool to see Channing Tatum's Gambit be a part of that, or his universe be a part of that. This is a rumor that's been floating around for a while now that maybe we could see our main 616 MCU characters going up against the Fox X-Men, because there's an incursion coming, and only one of their universes is going to survive. That would be really awesome. Doubt it's going to happen, but it'd be cool. So yeah, I mean, Channing Tatum is a great Gambit, and I think, again, looking at how much he cares about this character, how long he fought to have this character brought to life, with his vision and the ideas that he had for this film, I think he deserves it, and I would love for it to happen. I'm very much in the same mindset again of hashtag make TASM 3. That's how I would do this. But again, with timing, I don't think it would be able to be coming out before Secret Wars, and because of that, I think it's very unlikely. But if we could make it happen, I would love it. Again, I don't want Channing Tatum as the MCU Gambit, but if we could do a one-off story of just Channing Tatum Gambit in the Fox universe or even his own universe, that would be really cool. I would personally really enjoy that. But if we don't get that, at least give us some Gambit love in the MCU. And if rumors are true with this upcoming MCU X-Men reboot, it looks like that will be the case. So for now, guys, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. What do you think about this idea of Channing Tatum still wanting to do his Gambit movie? Do you want it to happen? How do you think it could be done? Let me know in the comments below. So thanks so much for watching. Please drop a like if you enjoyed this video and hit the subscribe button so keep up to date on everything goes on in the Marvel life.